Hello and welcome to Ecocentric. I'm your host, Jake Zaleski. We've got a lot of environmental news to cover for this week, so let's get started. Really importantly though, before we begin, the first of the 3 Earth Strike protests happening this year is happening on Tuesday, January 15th. Please go check out the website for it, link below, and follow them on Instagram at EarthStrike2019. Our voices need to be heard. Now, onto the video. It's always great to see plastic bans, so we'll start with that. New York City banned the possession, sale, or use of certain foam products. This includes foam takeout containers, cups, packaging peanuts, plates, bowls, and trays. There are, of course, some exceptions, but New York City has made it clear that they are serious about this. Businesses have until July 1st to change their practices, and the first violation will cost $250, the second $500, and the third $1,000. This may seem a bit extreme to some, but according to Clean Water Action California, styrofoam litter is the second most abundant form of beach debris. On the human health side, the monomer that is used to make styrofoam, styrene, is found in 100% of all human fat tissue samples and is a possible carcinogen. After San Francisco enacted a similar ban, they had a 36% decline in styrofoam litter, which is good, because these packaging products are typically not clean enough to be recycled. Hopefully other cities continue what New York City and San Francisco have started. Our next story comes from Australia, where our new report says that when the Australian Senate voted to stop former Prime Minister Tony Abbott from abolishing clean energy agencies and helped to create renewable energy projects worth $23 billion. These measures are reported to cause 334 million tons of carbon dioxide to be cut and ensures that climate change will be a major part of their May election this year. In June of 2019, renewables accounted for about 16% of energy generation in Australia, but now it's set to reach 37% by 2030. This change is reported to drive down power costs by 2.1% for Australian residents, or about $55 per household per year. Hopefully their election brings some more sensible leaders who will take bold climate action. It's that time in the video to talk about Elon Musk and all the stuff he's doing, which ruffled some feathers in the previous video. The news this week isn't about electric cars, but I did want to address the topic since there are still people who think that electric cars aren't green. According to the Union of Concerned Scientists, quote, on average, BEVs, or fully electric cars, representative of those sold today produce less than half of the global warming emissions of comparable gasoline-powered vehicles, even when the higher emissions associated with BEV manufacturing are taken into consideration. So this means that today, an electric car produces less lifetime emissions than a gasoline car. Then there's the argument that we shouldn't be using electric cars until the grid is 100% renewable energy, and I can see the merit of that, but, well, think about it. The transition to electric cars has been going on for about a decade in full force, and they represent about 0.3% of all cars. This is increasing by about 0.1% each year, according to the International Energy Agency. The momentum for hybrid and electric cars is growing faster each year, as referenced by a previous news video. So if we wait until the grid is fully electric, we will be wasting valuable time. However, if we start transitioning now, by the time the grid becomes renewable, we should have enough electric cars to replace the gasoline ones. We need to continually go with electric cars if we want to transition in time. Anyway, onto the real story here. Elon Musk recently publicly announced the Gigafactory 3 in Shanghai, which is a huge factory that will be producing battery cells, Model 3s, which is Tesla's newest car, and Model Ys, which is the future Tesla car, coming soon. It has an initial production rate of 250,000 cars per year, which, like I said earlier, will help accelerate the transition to electric cars. It being built in Shanghai is important because, what was Trump's tariff war, building and selling cars in China not only saved Tesla money, but again, it will accelerate the transition to electric cars. In fact, building the cars in China will save Chinese buyers about $15,000 per car, bringing the price down to $58,000. The Gigafactory 3 is set to begin production by the end of the year, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. Next up, we have some sad news about UNESCO, or the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, that many UNESCO heritage sites are in danger due to climate change. Some, such as the Jakobshavn Glacier, hope I said that right, in Greenland, are being destroyed, or in this case melted, right in front of us. The government of Greenland has even told people to go and see it now, before it's too late, and witness climate change occurring before our eyes. According to Adam Markham, virtually every World Heritage Site has some level of threat from climate change. These heritage sites, from Yellowstone National Park to the Great Barrier Reef, are in serious danger. Climate action is critical. The news about these UNESCO sites is even more significant because, according to estimates, America's carbon emissions rose 3.4% in 2018, which is the biggest increase in the past 8 years. There isn't one direct cause, but it comes from various sources, such as the Trump administration rolling back federal regulations, a cold winter in New England leading to more fossil fuel consumption, and a boom in manufacturing and an increase in transport. A Green New Deal is becoming more and more necessary if we want to avoid the worst effects of rising emissions. Speaking of rising emissions, Bill Gates has a solution for us about that. He's been a supporter of nuclear energy for quite some time, and he recently said that, quote, nuclear is ideal for dealing with climate change because it is the only carbon-free, scalable energy source that is available 24 hours a day. However, Peter Basford, a former member of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, has stated that new nuclear is so far outside the competitive range that not only can nuclear power not stop global warming, it's probably not even an essential part of the solution to global warming. And according to Power.com, recent studies from New York and California show that it is cheaper to invest in renewables, energy efficiency, and energy storage in order to replace aging nuclear plants than it is to keep the existing plants running. Savings range from hundreds of millions to billions of dollars, achieved without any impact on electric systems reliability. And that's without any government subsidies. Links are included in the description below for further reading. Continuing on the theme of billionaires, I have a message for the 1%. Climate change is reportedly affecting the productivity of workers. Scientists at the National University of Singapore studied workers at textile mills, and they found that over the course of a year, a quote, definite drop in output was seen when pollution went up. According to Associate Professor Liu, we find that an increase in PM 2.5, which is a measure of how many fine particles under 2.5 micrometers in diameter in the air, an increase in PM 2.5 by 10 micrograms per cubic meter sustained over 25 days reduces daily output by 1%, harming firms and workers, and the effects are subtle but highly significant. It's a bit strange how a study that says pollution is bad ended up in the news. However, it's good that we're studying the exact causes and effects of it. We're going to have more pollution in the future since Trump is trying to appeal the Obama-era policy of clean air, apparently. The exact policy here is the 2011 Mercury and Air Toxic Standards, which has reportedly led to 85% less mercury emissions from coal-fired power plants in the past decade. This is significant because, according to the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, mercury poisoning can cause muscle weakness, poor coordination, numbness in the hands and feet, skin rashes, anxiety, memory problems, trouble speaking, trouble hearing, trouble seeing, and amongst other things. It's a very serious neurotoxin, but the Trump administration says that the cost of regulation might not be worth the human health benefits. My God. The US Constitution says that the government should promote the general welfare. I don't see that happening here. Speaking of Trump, it's time to address the environmental impacts of his border wall. An article by the Next Web says that in North America, along the 3,200-kilometer U.S.-Mexico border, fence and wall construction over the past decade, and efforts by the Trump administration to complete a continuous border wall, threatens some of the continent's most biologically diverse regions. Already built sections of the wall are reducing the area, quality, and connectivity of plant and animal habitats, and are compromising more than a century of binational investment in conservation. Political and media attention, however, often understate or misrepresent the harm done to biodiversity. Forgetting about your feelings on the wall, we have to talk about this. If someone built a big wall between your house and the only stores in your area so you couldn't get food, you'd be impacted. Or imagine someone built a wall between you and your school. Or even worse, imagine someone built a wall between you and your house when you were at work, now you can't return. If the wall is built, there must be amendments to guarantee that no animal or plant will be disturbed by it. People pushing reckless ideas like these are why nature is threatened everywhere, every day, and we have a climate crisis. We must stop and think about the consequences of our actions. Finally, we're going to end with two relatively pleasant stories. The first is that Lush, the cosmetic store, is opening the first packaging-free store in the UK. It opens in Manchester on January 18th, 2019, and will join many other packaging-free Lush stores in Europe. About half of Lush's products are currently packaging-free, so I highly recommend supporting this company and others like it. Our final story of the week is that rideshare electric scooters with seats are coming to Austin, Texas. A California-based electric scooter company called Ojo Electric recently announced that 100 of them will soon be available in Austin, Texas at a rate of $1.25 and with it costing 18 cents per minute after that. They can go up to 25 miles per hour and 50 miles on a single charge, so they're a pretty viable option for getting around. If you ever go to Austin or if you live there, check them out and tell us how they are. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. As always, you can find the full articles in the description below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. You can also follow us on Instagram at We Are Ecocentric. Well, that's all for me, and now it's your turn to save the world. See you next week. Give me the gift of a grip top sock, a clip-shaped, shift-shaped tip-top sock, not your splint-stick, slapstick, slipshod stock, but a plastic elastic grip top sock. Off a hodgepodge, moss, blotch, scotch, blotched block. Nothing slipshod, drip drop, flip flop, or glip glob. Zip me to a tip top, grip top sock. My God.